Good afternoon and welcome to PAN's Facebook Live. My name is Brian Crocker. I'm joined today by fellow instructors Catherine Senko and John Morensel. Today we are going to answer your questions about remote online notarization. The session will last no more than 30 minutes. We ask you email comments and questions to livestreams@notary.org. Let's begin.
Welcome, everyone.
Glad to have you today. You can go ahead and put your questions into the chat box.
Scott, we have a question from Scott. What is the difference between e-notarization and remote online notarization? Well, electronic notarization or e-notarization is when both you and the customer are in the same room working off of the same computer with an electronic document. Remote online notarization is where the notary is in Pennsylvania and the customer is located somewhere else and you are working off of the computer with audio-visual technology.
Awesome. I'd say that's a pretty common question we get because it can be confusing. So that is great. That was the first question to lead off with there. Somebody said Happy New Year, Pan. Thank you. Happy New Year as well. So the next question that rolls in, I will handle. Say we've been told by our customer service team and by people in the office that Ron is still a very hot subject. They're getting calls and questions on it constantly. So we thought this would be a good platform for our members to ask us questions and you can get an immediate response. At least that's the goal, to get an immediate response. Hello there, Pamela. So how do I become a remote online notary? So the first thing you would need to do is you would need to become electronic notary, and that is free to apply. And once you are approved to become electronic notary, then you can go ahead and select one of the remote online notary platforms, one of the Ron state approved platforms, and you can go through one of the vendors. And once you select one of those, you will be set. There are going to be some fees that are involved. Every vendor is different. So that's something to keep in mind. And I would definitely recommend to do your research on that. But yeah, that's kind of the process there.
And to piggyback on what John said, if you go to the Department of State's website, they do have a document called Steps to Becoming an Electronic or Remote Online Notary in Pennsylvania, and it is very helpful. So when that next question pops in, I will take it. I'm off the screen there for a second. Let me come back. There we are. Time frame for applying to approval typically. The time frame, the processing time frames vary with the Department of State. What they told us via email a couple of weeks ago is that if you applied to be an e-notary and you haven't heard within a week, you should contact the Department of State.
Are there a lot of jobs out there for online notaries? I really can't say if there's a lot of jobs for online notaries. I know it's increasing, and especially with the pandemic, a lot of people have been requesting it. I know in the real estate world seems to be increasing at a faster pace than other industries.
Again, to piggyback on our blog, there's a question about should I use Ron as a part of my business? And it goes into detail and it talks about the things you should consider. So that's another thing I recommend is looking at the e-notarization and remote online notarization section of our blog.
You're welcome, Justin.
Pamela asked, where can a customer that presents a title in their name get a registration plate from rather than sending to Harrisburg? They need to go to, this is a PennDOT related question, so that's not going to be more for the people that are here for Ron. But what they can do is they can go somewhere that is I'm blanking. It's an online messenger. That's where they're going to want to make sure they go. So they need to, or not an online messenger, excuse me. They need to be a decentralized agent. That was a term I was looking for. So they need to be a full agent, but also somebody that is an online messenger. That's what a decentralized agent is. There are a handful of them out there. You can look on PennDOT's website for one of those people. That's the only people that can handle those situations.
But that wouldn't involve remote online notarization.
No,
It's a different kind of electronic processing. Martinia wants us to provide the direct link that shows you the steps to becoming a remote online notary. I believe our social coordinator, Angel, will go ahead and pop that link up for us. Or if you'd like, send us an email at livestreams@notary.org, and I can send you a helpful links document that gives you that link and other links as well.
You could always just go to the Google Department of State and E-Notarizations.
So,
okay, no.
Is that you, Kathy?
Is it me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How would I keep track of my notarizations with Ron? Well, you can keep an electronic or a paper journal, but with Ron, you do have to keep track of notarizations or keep for 10 years. So if you have an electronic journal, that's a 10-year retention period for your electronic journal. And
I think you're confusing the journal with the recording of the notarization.
Oh, the recording.
I do the same thing. Don't worry.
The recordings need to be kept for 10 years. The journal is forever until you turn it in at the end of it. But that can either be kept by you or by someone approved by the notary. The wording is, if I have an answer for this.
An entity
Approved
that acts
electronic notary logs one.
The entity that acts on behalf of the notary?
Entity is the word I was looking for.
That's all right.
Yeah, the person who ends, or the entity that acts on behalf of the notary. But the recordings have to be kept for 10 years.
I'm surprised nobody's asked about my wreath behind me. Our family's tradition is not to take the decorations down until Valentine's Day, so they shall stay.
I would tell you just from this, though, from previous webinars that we've had, from common questions we do get, a big one has been people asking us about PennDOT and can you do remote notarizations with like title work? And the answer for that, if anybody's thinking or is in that industry, is right now, titles cannot be done remotely until PennDOT decides what they plan on doing and what needs to be done with electronic titling. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind.
We're getting a quick hello from one of our former instructors, Heather Apel. And the next question from Enrique is, are the fees the same with Ron or can you charge additional? The notary fees are set by the Department of State, Enrique, so those fees are the same, but you can make up the difference by charging additional clerical and or administrative fees. And those types of fees are not regulated by the Department of State at this time. And as we say on our webinars, on our Facebook Live sessions, we really do enjoy doing this. It's a way to connect with the public when we're not able to connect with the public physically, because we haven't trained in a long while, at least since the end of November.
Is it me again? I'm losing track.
Yes.
Okay. We have, hello, are there any general notary work classes? We do have our online classes that are ongoing anytime you'd like to take them. You just sign up throughout the website with the online notary. We hope to be starting our general live classes again soon.
And keep an eye out. I mean, there has been some work on the back end for us to go live with some Zoom classes, state approved Zoom classes. That's stuff that we will be actually testing out here within the next week or two. Our goal, it's definitely not set in stone, but our goal is to get those classes up and running for February.
Right.
That'll give you one more opportunity to take education. If you're not an online person and you'd like to see an instructor and interact that way, we're going to do something kind of like this, where we'll be teaching you with a presentation on the computer, but you'll be able to communicate with us through the chat. You'll see us virtually this way. So that's just one more thing that we're trying to provide to the notaries in Pennsylvania. All right. So how do you advertise your RON services? I received a seal and certificate from NNA, but don't know the next step. Honestly, it's going to be the same way that you would advertise your services as a standard notary. Word of mouth. You could advertise social media wise. I don't know if NNA has anything. I know you could make yourself available to be searched on our website if you are a PAN member, and you can list your services that way. Just keep in mind, though, if you are advertising your services
Yes.
as a notary, whether it's a standard notary or it's electronic or remote notary, you need to have a statement that's attached along to it mentioning that you're not a licensed attorney, you can't give out legal advice, you can't help with immigration statuses or information like that. That statement's actually listed in the notary law, Berlona. So just keep that in mind if you're going to be advertising your services.
Also, Alicia, before you do your first remote online notarization, you want to make sure that you're marked as e-notary capable on your file on the Department of State's website. I'll take care of that next question when it pops up, if it pops up. Again, we're glad to have you here. We can talk about the weather if you want to. But did you mention our plans for next Monday?
No, and I think it's a great opportunity now because we
Why don't I do
have.
that?
Yeah, why don't you go for it, Brian?
Yeah, since it's my turn to speak, that's all.
Might as well.
You can talk if you want. John was mentioning our live Zoom presentations for the future. We want to experiment having a live group. So later today, there's going to be an announcement on social media inviting volunteers to attend a live online class called Everyday Notary Challenges Seminar. At this point, we believe it's going to be led by Mr. John Morensel. Kathy and I will both be there to assist. We're setting aside 4 hours, although we don't know if it's going to take that long. There will be a sign up. We're going to let the first 20 members that sign up be a part of that session, and we look forward to having you if you volunteer. So look for that announcement on social media later today.
Yeah, typically it's a $69 value. If you wanted to sign up for this class, you would need to go take it in person. You would need to take a half day off work. You would drive to a location at a hotel. This is something that we want to, like Brian said, experiment with and make sure that we get all the kinks out before we do go live in February. So for donating your time to us, we're going to give you that Everyday Notary Challenges seminar free. It is not for any state credit. It's just for learning notary knowledge. If you want to brush up on any topics, I think it's a great class, especially if you work with different style documents on a day-to-day basis. It will be right up your alley. So definitely check it out later this afternoon.
Now, typically that class is offered in conjunction with First Time Notary, So first-time notary would be in the morning, and everyday notary challenges would be in the afternoon. It's not a prerequisite necessarily to take first-time notary, but it does help.
Agreed.
Teresa wants to know if that everyday notary challenges class is going to be offered to non-notaries. Now, if you're a member, Teresa, and you just haven't become a notary yet, absolutely, you're welcome to be there. But if you're not a member of PAN, not at this point.
Yes, if you're thinking about becoming a notary or you haven't taken education yet, it won't hurt to be there. I mean, you're going to learn a lot of stuff. So, yeah, as long as you're a member, that's definitely available for you. Just keep an eye out, like we said later today. I think
it is a limited course.
Yeah, we're going to only have a handful of people for it.
So I believe the sections are tips for notarization, problem documents, and Rulona exam test preparation. So we'll see how that goes.
Approximate time. Does that mean for the live class or for becoming an online notarization? A little more information on that one.
I think she asked a question earlier about the time, so now I'm thinking she's asking about Ron, I'm guessing, or not Ron, our everyday.
Okay, the everyday challenges, we're saying, for everyday challenges class, leave yourself 4 hours. It will probably not take that long, but we want to make sure we get everything in.
From 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. is
1
what
p.m.
we're anticipating. If my commission expires this year, will I need to wait to apply for electronic notary after renewal, or can I do this before? Yeah, if you you want to make sure that you go through the renewal process of your standard notary, you go through that process, and then once you are approved there, then you can go ahead and reapply for your electronic notary.
Actually, if you read the material from the Department of State's website, they're encouraging you to wait until you've gotten your bond, recorded your bond, your oath, and your commission, and registered your signature, and then wait until that's indicated on their website, because they can't approve your new RON term until all of that has been done. That's why a lot of people, renewals, are having trouble having their RON permission renewed, or their electronic notary solution permission renewed.
And since we have time, somebody did ask, did you answer how the Advertise RON question? We did, but I mean, there's no other questions right now, so we could definitely answer that again, Teresa. Honestly, the same way that you would advertise your standard services as a notary, that's what I would recommend doing for RON. Maybe social media. If you are a member with an organization, for example, us at PAN, you can make yourself available to be searched on our website, and you can put your, what your services are. Yeah, and but the key is, if you're going to advertise your services, you want to make sure on that advertisement that you make note that you're not an attorney. You cannot help in assisting customers with legal advice or with immigration. You can't be an immigration consultant or expert. So that's something you need to make sure you are adding on the advertisement.
So the next question is for me when it rolls in. Just to let you know, we're at 28, almost 29 minutes in, but we didn't actually start live until 5 minutes in. So if we get more questions, we'll go until 35 minutes. If not, we'll wrap it up at 30. Christine says, in addition to the notarization charges, when doing RON, can we also charge a service administrative fee like we do for general notary work? Yes, absolutely. Again, the notary fees are standard. They cannot be changed. They are maximums, but that's the way to make up the difference. And those fees are not regulated by the state at this time.
I'll take the next question. Is there any legalization barring non-Pennsylvania notaries from performing RON in Pennsylvania? You must become a notary and an E-Notary to perform a RON in Pennsylvania. You cannot do a notarization in Pennsylvania unless you are a notary.
Unless she's asking, maybe I'm searching too much, unless she's asking if she's a notary in a different state and that different state has their own remote online notarization law, and that law allows them to notarize for people in other places, if that's what she's asking. But I think I'm stretching a little bit.
The Pennsylvania RON law says the notary must be located in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
The customer can be located elsewhere.
Right. But I thought maybe she was asking, maybe she's a notary from another state. That's why I said that.
Possibly.
Getting comments here. Christine's excited to get started with Ron. She's approved using one of the approved vendors, Sinex.
You're welcome. At this point, we are caught up on the questions. One did roll in right there, so I will go ahead and take that one. Can you explain the process of being able to perform RON services? So what you pretty much are doing, you are going to, instead of notarizing in person with a pen, paper, and stamp, you're going to be notarizing over state-approved audio-visual technology. So that's really the extent of it. There are other things that need to be in place on how to identify your customer. There are 2 methods that you'll need, and there will need to be a recording. There are a lot of things that need to go into it, but those things will be provided to you if you go through one of the state-approved vendors, which is required to be able to do RON. If you want a more explanation on this topic, we actually have a video on how to do a remote notarization on our YouTube page. It's a quick run through. Again, it's very generic because every vendor can have slight variations or changes on what they require. So we have just a standard generic video that shows you the steps. But when you do go through a vendor, a lot of them do have tutorial videos or walkthroughs, or even they'll guide you through your first RON. So every vendor is different, but in a nutshell, that's going to be the difference.
And the link for that video is in the chat box now. Also, if you'd like the link document that has that link and others that we put together for today, you can send us an email at livestreams@notary.org, and we will send you that links document. So we're at 32 minutes and almost 33 minutes in. If we get other questions, we'll stay. Not, we're going to wrap it up pretty quickly here.
No, good conversation. We had different questions regarding RON, the process, and then we also got to advertise a little bit about something we're excited that's coming up here with our Zoom. So sounds like there was some interest in the room. That is fantastic.
That's good.
So keep a look out on that on Facebook. I would say probably sometime this afternoon we're going to be releasing information on that.
There's a question about how much it costs to be assigned with a vendor. That's going to honestly depend on the vendor, Kristen. Each vendor has its own fee schedules. So you want to contact them and find out what the costs are. Are there monthly costs? Are there installation costs? Are there annual costs? Those are things we just don't get involved with. We don't have a relationship with any of the vendors, and we don't recommend any of the vendors.
You also want to investigate the vendors because some of them specialize in certain areas, such as general notarization, real estate transactions. So take a look at the vendor list, which you can find on the Department of State's website.
And for some people that maybe joined maybe in the middle, because I seen somebody said they missed maybe some information, don't worry about that, because once this ends, it will be on our Facebook page, and you can go through the whole duration of this Facebook Live. So you can scroll through and listen to it as many times as you like, a certain section. So that is also a really nice resource.
All right, so we're almost at the 35-minute mark. I will take the initiative to say thanks for attending today. We plan on doing more of these Facebook Lives in the future. If you want to send us recommendations for topics, use that email address that we gave you earlier, livestreams@notary.org. Other than that, folks, I wish you health and have a great day.
See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and asking so many great questions. For more updates from Pan, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you have suggestions for topics you'd like our instructors to cover in the future, let us know in the comments. See you next time.